Hello and welcome back to Goose and Boots. In the last video, we talked about some of the Asian jokes in Family Guy. So naturally, it's Europe's turn now. We'll talk about some of the jokes about Europe. 6. Bear in unicycle. In episode 3 of season 8, Stewie and Brian found out that their new neighbors, Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, were spies. They decided to go to Russia to help them on a mission. When they arrived in Russia, all they saw were bears on unicycles. Russian bear, strong, aggressive, and impossible to control. In Western Europe, the image of the bear started to relate to the image of Russians in the 16th century. Today, the image of Russian bears is commonly used in mass media around the world, mostly as strong, wild, unpredictable, and dangerous. 5. German sausages. In episode 2 of season 1, during a cutaway, there's a man at a German sausage stand that looked a lot like Adolf Hitler. The stand next to him was a Polish sausage stand. Pretty soon after, the German guy hit the Polish guy and took his stand, while the Czech sausage guy standing next to it were sweating nervously. This is one of the shortest yet funniest cutaways, and another history lesson from Family Guy. The first shot that started World War II is when Germany took Poland in the invasion of Poland on September 1, 1939, right after the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was signed between Germany and the Soviet Union. Soon after, the German battleship Schleswig-Holstein fires at Fort Westerplatte near Gdansk. And that's how World War II started. 4. France surrenders. In episode 20 of season 10, Meg went to school in Paris for a week with her friend. When they arrived at the airport in France, a Frenchman came and said, "On behalf of the country of France, we surrender."
Good day, foreigners. On behalf of the country of France, we surrender.
During the Battle of France in 1940 of World War II, due to intelligence failure, operational and tactical inferiority, and poor strategic leadership, according to some research, France quickly surrendered to Germany in just 46 days of war. Although there were many factors that led to the surrender, after a series of jokes and memes, it became a form of humorous stereotype. 3. French movie and siren. In episode 3 of season 9, Carter was caught cheating on Barb with an Asian hooker by Peter, so he had to do Peter bidding. One of the chores Peter gave him was to go to France and tell the people there that a good-looking, depressed guy smoking a cigarette is not a movie.
People of France, a good-looking, depressed guy smoking a cigarette is not a movie. And your sirens sound like gay guys having a threesome.
This is a shot at French film noirs, which were made from 1940 to late 1950, when smoking rates were a lot higher than they are today. So smoking in movies was quite common at that time. Smoking a cigarette is a stylish and thematic element of film noir, but the quality, according to Peter, wasn't that good. 2. The Ireland. There are a few stereotypes about Irish people, but the most famous one is that the Irish are drunkards, and we have a few moments in Family Guy about that. Peter found out that Francis wasn't his real father, so he and Brian went to Ireland to find his biological father. A few minutes before the plane landed, Peter said Ireland has drunk per capita more than people, and Brian disagreed.
This is quite a country, Brian. You know, Ireland has more drunks per capita than people.
Oh, that's a negative stereotype. I don't think the Irish drink as much as people say they do.
Immediately after that, they landed in a runaway full of empty alcohol bottles. This is a stereotype about the drinking culture in Ireland. In 2019, on approximately every person in Ireland from the age of 15 and over drank 10.8 liters of pure alcohol a year, the equivalent of either 40 bottles of vodka, 113 bottles of wine, or 436 pints of beer. So this joke is not necessarily without basis. 1. Belarusian bedtime story. In episode 3 of season 16, due to Peter's irresponsibility, Bab hired Natalia, a Belarusian, to be the nanny for Stewie. And like some action movie tropes, she's a spy. But we're not talking about that. During bedtime story, she read a story called Good Night Moon of Chernobyl.
Good night, Chernobyl moon. Good night, radiation house. Good night, melted phone. Good night, glowing milk. Good night, bleeding grandpa's eyes. Good night, two-headed cat. Good night, nobody. Good night, blocks and blocks and blocks of nobody. The end.
The story mentioned radiation house, melted phone, glowing milk, and other weird stuff. The depressing story was referring to the Chernobyl nuclear disaster happened on April 26, 1986. The accident occurred during a safety test. Approximately 70% of the radioactive contaminants landed in Belarus. As a result, it caused extreme consequences for the population and the land. The soil of Belarus absorbed 2/3 of the fallout and nuclides. The land was heavily contaminated, and many children had heart and other severe health problems. Those are just a few of the consequences of the Chernobyl disaster.
Where are we going?
You going home. Count to 3 and pull cord.
No! I don't know my number! Again!
And that are some of the European jokes in Family Guy. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to support our channel. And if you don't like it or want to add something, please leave a comment to let us know. Goodbye and see you again.